which has rendered me basically useless as a man, uh, being able to work or provide for my family, which has brought about financial hardships and everything else that followed along with it. Um, Anxiety, depression, weight gain, you name it. And I went down that road and have been going down that road since 2007. Since Mr. Kesh introduced this technology in October, I've been adamantly researching and experimenting. And when the Cup of Life came out, I got me a cup and made me a cup and out of a two-walled cup, and took it apart and put a nano-coated copper plate around the inner wall, and filled it with some really good high-quality CO2 GANs and distilled water, and sealed the cup back up. And the first 2 days I drank from the cup, I was so energized that I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do with all the energy. And from that point forward, it's been a progression that's a fairy tale. I mean, really, I had a doctor's visit today. I don't eat but once a month or once a day now. I go about 18 hours a day, full of energy. I don't eat very much at all. My wife's sitting right here. She can confirm this. At the doctor today, after visits since October, since the introduction of the KSW technology, I have stayed at a constant 164. Today I was 165.3, which showing there is absolutely no weight loss. My hair is becoming darker. I've lost some of the gray in my hair. My skin tone around my arms is becoming tighter. I joked with the students today, to the point where, the cup is giving me the impression that I'm getting younger, which I laughed about, but really it kind of is in a way. It makes me feel younger. It makes me feel emotionally better. It has brought peace to my family. There is nowhere near the amount of animosity that goes on in my family anymore. We're not in a state of constant fear of worrying about this bill or that bill. I'm able to get out and do things with my family now. I go to the store and be able to make it through the store for longer than 15 minutes without having to sit down. So this has brought a more productive part to my life. It's made me more interactive with my children. I'm able to get out and push my son around the yard now on his little three-wheeler. And my girls, I'm able to do things with. I was told never to chop wood again. And I have been experimenting against the doctor's recommendations because I trust Mr. Kesh far more than I do any doctor. And I have been busting wood for a month now, continuously, about every other day, because I burn wood here as an alternative source of heat. And I've not had any issues at all. Now, am I completely pain-free? No, absolutely not. But is the pain subsided to where I'm having a better quality of life? Absolutely. This is the most amazing thing that has ever happened in my life. I was overwhelmed with the GANs from the beginning. I fell in love with the GANs. There's something special about the GANs, and it touched me in my heart. And I have followed my heart with working everything that I do involving the GANs. And I love my cup. My father has wanting a cup. He's 66 years old, and I let him experience a little bit of CO2 GANs, and he was amazed at the amount of energy that he had. He said that he walks every morning with senior citizens at a local place, and he has to sit down about every 20 minutes and rest. And when he had the CO2 GANs, his friends were asking him how come he was able to had all that energy and he didn't have to sit down. And he didn't want to tell anybody. He was kind of afraid to tell anybody that I had given him something because he didn't really know what it was and he didn't understand it. But since my visit, I've come back home. He's reminded me 3 times on the phone. Please send him one of these cups. That he can't wait for his cup to get in the mail. And I've got 12 new cups I'm making right now to pass out to different people that are in my life, whether friends or family that have emotional problems or problems that are not exactly right in their life. The way I look at it and the way I can understand it is the cup makes things right. As I explained to my students today, uh, I was a coffee drinker and I was a cigarette smoker. The cup has I call it a judging effect. It it tells me when things that I put in my body are not good for me, and it does so by uh, uh, some kind of communication that is hard for me to explain. But I knew the cigarettes were causing me problems, and the cup was informing me of that. And after being years of smoking, a regular hard smoker, I've not touched a cigarette in 30 days. Witnesses for that too. I was an avid coffee drinker, 3, 4 pots a day. About a week ago, the cup was telling me, I can't drink the coffee anymore. So it was causing an interaction. The cup is correct, as Mr. Kesh likes to use that word. I'm using his phrase. The cup is correct, and I put something in my body that's not correct. So the cup informs me of it. I quit drinking coffee. I no longer have that reaction. So when I put things in my body that I know aren't good for me, and I know it myself, the cup also communicates with me that they're not good for me. So the cup has some very special benefits to it that are sometimes really hard for me to explain because I'm a layman. You know, uh, in this kind of technology, it's absolutely amazing. And I've said it time and time again. I owe Mr. Kesh my life because he has given my life to me back. And my family is also very grateful, my wife including, and my children, and my father is very grateful to Mr. Kesh because he has seen me go through some really hard times in the last 2 years, especially. Um, and no, the cup does not communicate with me verbally. No, absolutely not. It's a reaction that I get in my body. I call it a hypersensitivity action. My body becomes acutely aware of something almost immediately after ingesting it if it's not right. Like I've almost quit eating meat. I still consume a little, but it's just there's something about it, that it just it's a feeling, and it's a hypersensitivity. It makes my body feel different. When I eat vegetables, I don't have that effect. When I drink water, I don't have that effect. It's only when I drink a soda, I have that effect. So it's the things that I put into my body that we know aren't good for us that is causing that reaction to occur from the cup. So I adhere to the cup. I drink from the cup all day long. I fill it up once at night before I go to bed. I place an apple on the top of it because I like the taste of the apple. It draws it into the cup. The smell is absolutely phenomenal. I can't even explain how a cup could do that. And the taste, after 4 hours, you get a hint. After 12 hours, you get the whole taste of the apple, but no sweetness. At 24 hours of letting it sit with the apple on top of it, it is an amazing taste, like apple cider without any sugar at all. And the smell is phenomenal. So it kind of becomes intriguing to put different fruits on there to get the different tastes from the fruits. And knowing that I'm also getting the nutrients from the fruit because the field forces are drawing from the fruit into the cup, as Mr. Kesh has explained before. So, this is proof again. These are two things in my life that involving Mr. Kesh's technology that I've experienced for myself and witnesses around. And I've experimented with people on my cup. We've experimented. A friend of mine has actually not a friend of mine. A friend of my wife's has a problem with medication. So I let her drink from the cup, and she didn't have to have no medication for a whole day. Said she went home, cleaned her house, said she'd felt better than she'd felt in years, and could I make her a cup? So I've done 3 independent tests on this, and they've all confirmed the same results. So that's why I went ahead and purchased what I could at the local place, all the cups that they had, so I could put into production these cups and get them out to people that would really benefit from them. And that would be the poor and the needy and the people that can't make these cups or don't have the access to make them or the financial means to make the cups.
People are asking, how do you make the cups?
Yes, sir. Sure. No problem at all. The cup is a double wall cup that you can pick up at any dollar store that we have here in the States, and I'm sure you have them around the world. And they're a dollar a cup. They're a double walled cup.
Do you want to show it? Show it there
Yeah,
briefly.
I sure can.
Okay,
Yeah, I sure
that'd be
can
great.
if you'd like me.
If we have time, Mr. Kesh, for this
How
part.
whole day today? We
Just need me to share screen, Rick?
Yep.
go.
You should be able to there now, I think.
Okay, which screen do I share? Desktop?
Well, try not to share.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Go
don't share your
There we go.
desktop.
There we go. I got it.
Yeah, he's
I
got
know,
it.
Mr.
Okay. He's learning fast here. He's on the fast path.
Try to put that a little bit out of everybody's way there. Maybe it won't affect too many people. There we go. Okay, now this is my cup right here that I drink from every, and I've got a cup here that we'll go through how to make real fast. This is my instructional cup. As you can see, my apple's on top of it. It's fire coated caustic with CO2 GANTs and distilled water. And this is, wow, I can't say enough about the cup. Now the process of making the cup, you need a wall cup.
10 minutes here.
You have a clear double wall cup. You can get at any dollar store. They're usually $1. I heat up a razor blade to go along the seams. That way you won't crack or bust the cup, and it comes apart really easy, and you make a nice seam. You don't have a jagged seam there. You separate the cup. Then you can take a piece of paper like so and wrap around the cup till you get the conical shape of the cup, and then use a pair of scissors and cut it out. And then you've got a diagram, which you can lay on top of a sheet of copper. And then you lay it on the sheet of copper, and the diagram will come out looking like this, in this kind of fashion here. Now, when you heat the copper, it re-anneals the copper. It makes it like putty. You can bend it real easy and you won't kink it. You can't do this without annealing the copper, and that means getting it hot to the rainbow color. As you can see, it's rainbow color. Then you can wrap the copper around the cup like so. All right. Now, once you've got your form and you've got it good in form, you got it the way you want it, nice and snug, then you can continue with the fire coating process. And what I did was I fire coated this, and then I caustic coated mine 5 times in a 16 coating. And then I placed it back on the cup. I inserted it with my GANTs, and I put 20 milliliters of concentrated CO2 GANTs in here. And as you push the cup down, the GANTs will rise. So you have to do this a couple of times to get the water level up to where you want it to mix with the GANTs. So you add water and you push down on the cup until it comes up, and then you add water until you get it to where you want it, and then you push down, and I seal with a rubber cement, and then allow a weight to sit on it upside down like this, with a weight sitting on top of it, which I use my big family Bible sitting on top of the cup, and I leave it sit for 24 hours. And then the cup is sealed and it's ready to start putting water in. Now, I've done tests with the meter on the cup. This cup with just the fire coating on will raise the pH up, but it takes 4 hours. With the caustic and the fire coating, the pH raises up in 1 hour, 1 hour exactly. It jumps up dramatically. It'll take RO water, which has nothing in it, which the guy said a while ago, reverse osmosis water has no nutrients in it at all. No parts per million, no undissolved solids. And it usually comes out of the RO at about 7 neutral. This will raise the pH up in the RO water to almost 8 in an hour, and raises the parts per million and the undissolved solids. I fire coat first, yes, and then I caustic coat. Yes, I fire coat to get the structure formed the way that I want it, so the metal is malleable and soft, and I can form it in any fashion that I need to. And then when I'm done with the final forming of the cup, then I caustic coat it, and I do it, like I said, I did mine 5 times in a steam caustic, and that it's been his work for me. And Mr. Cash, I can't tell you how many times I'll say it for the rest of my life. Thank you, because you have given me my life back, and you have given me my family back. And that's something that I had thought was lost for good. I really did. Really did.
Douglas, I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing all your knowledge with me. I'm just a poor old
You
country boy, and this is my life. I'm not. I'm at a loss for words. And just all from my heart. And there's nothing I wouldn't do for Mr. Cash.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for offering that, Douglas. It takes a lot to be able to say that. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
I thank you for being there and bringing us a lot of joy. Um, you said a lot of things which it was just sitting and going like what we call deja vu. We we have seen people by using the cups losing the appetite for smoking. It's just that it's not the body, it just changes because you use it. It changes because it uses CO2, and if you mix some um, zinc cans into it as well on top, it brings you a lot of fast emotional comfort. So not only add the CO2, add the zinc oxide cans into it. We've seen people who've been addicted to cocaine within the first 3 days. They just go vomiting if they even come near cocaine. Using the same kind of technology. We've seen people who've been paralyzed drinking and using the cup after 27 years walking off the wheelchair. The process is very simple. Um, the system, when you drink it, it gives you what is lacking in emotion and in what we call understanding of the emotion, which connects to the zinc and to the copper. In a way, your CO2 is not a pure CO2. When you produce it, there is some what we call it, zinc oxide in it.
Mhm.
So it gives you, in a way, we look at the energy, just we need to eat to have energy. Our emotion needs energy too. So with this cup, because of what the way it's constructed with the zinc and CO2, you both with the nano coating of the copper, you feed the soul the emotion, you feed with the copper the neural system, which is the muscle tissues, and with the GANs you feed the, with the GANs of the zinc, you feed your inner emotion, which is totally three different things. So you feed what has been missing, and now that's why you feel better. We've seen this many years, and it's nice to see how simply you have made it. A layman can do it. And when you said your father can do these things, we've seen this many times. We've seen people in bed, people who could not walk more than 200 meters, they do 10 kilometers. It is, if people who see this, these things do happen because the material in the cups is made of the material of in your body. So when you transfer the plasmatic energy of it into your body, it's already absorbed the minute you touch your mouth. A lot of time, I have said this to a lot of our people, is that uh, with drinking these waters, you actually, the minute the energy touches your lips, energy is transferred. The water is just a converter. If you use even anything else will do the same. But one thing more you can do with what you have, make a cup lid for it. Make a hole in the lid and put a straw in it and breathe it. That feeds your lung, yes. So you need to breathe from it. Not the water, but you suck the air, but you have to make the airflow very, very slow that the conversion takes place. This, it does, we've seen it, I made it, people used to, I used to make 3 cups and then 2 cups. And more or less, it was a combination of what you see in different levels. If you add the fat, the amino acid on top of your container, you'll find out you hardly need to eat. So, because now you receive the protein level. This is what we were teaching for the time of disaster. People who you do not have food to eat, these cups, these kind of things is the only way to receive protein energy. When we say protein, an apple is a protein based, cauliflower is a protein based, wheat is 80% protein, and all sorts of things. We don't eat meat only. Anything we eat is amino acid based. So in the time of disaster or in the time of even hunger, if you add the CO2, the copper you put in there, and then you put the zinc oxide, CH3, and the amino acid, you never need to eat. This is the beauty with it, and that's what the cups are there. We are testing these cups, as I said here, um, with another person, which I brought it with me. Armo made it, and you can do the same. If you made it the pen, if you add the CH3, if you add some of the fat which you connected and seal the pen, put the pen in the water, it gives you the same energy. You don't need to make a cup. You can feed yourself and do the same thing. Just leave it like a what they call a spoon in the water, and you receive all the energy from it. But you have to understand what you do and how you do it. And we launch the pen pens from tomorrow. These pen pens, you can use them for anything, even feeding yourself, not even just putting it aside when you have a pain. You can drink it. It gives you the same kind of energy as a pain relief. You don't need to buy aspirin, because in some pains you cannot put a pen on. Just put a pen in the water, the pain pens which is made in the water, and drink the water. You get the same reaction. Yes, you can mix the gases. This is the opportunity. You can do a lot of things. One of the things, if you can find clean reservoirs, natural water reservoirs, like in north of England, you can do in Lake District area. If you make a gas from these kind of things where there is not much pollution, these are one of the best gases to use because it's naturally balanced. If you have any deficiencies in short of an element in your body, um, if you use the caustic of sulfur, if you can make some very slight amount of it, when you drink it, and just add one drop in the whole pack, this will allow the energy to be balanced in your body, even especially people who have a problem with the thyroid gland. It receives the energy that you find out it balances thyroid gland. Very small amount of sulfur. You find even your nail changes, your habit changes, your posture changes, because phosphor in our I was teaching this to I think to the people in Philippines when we were in the hospital. Phosphor you need it because sulfur you need it because in our body is the regenerator of the balancing of the change. If you can make a gans of it, you can do it very little amount, not much, and maybe one drop in the whole cup is more than enough. And you find out the body will start transferring its own minerals to the right way, and you will achieve what you need. Yes, sulfur in the gans state. And on the other hand, if you got a problem with hemoglobin, or you have a problem with red blood cell counts, if you have a diseases like the blood cancer, add a small amount, very small amount. Put the when you make the CO2, I was teaching yesterday in the private teachings. Put the CO2, put a small nail, metal nail into, or very just touching the GANs, then protein GANs on top of the container, that it becomes red drops. Pick those red drops up. This is the blood hemoglobin, and you can put it in a cup the same way as you shown it, And then you find out you can overcome blood cancer very rapidly, because the body picks up the energy which is needed for blood. These are pure bloods. It doesn't matter your type A, B, or whatever you are. These are the things that we start opening up, and people are trying and can repair back to us. There are different ways. I have used this for nearly 15 years. All the systems built, and we've seen results for it, is built in that way, but using magnets and hiding the nanomaterials in it and the gas materials in it. Now, because when you do it the way you do it, I used to do it with a magnet, you dictate a lot of positioning. Here you don't have any condition for positioning. All the elements that the body receives if they don't need. But when you have a problem, a cup, the way you have it, if you can put it in like a circles and stick it in certain positions, you can dictate where you want the energy. You want it in the liver, you want it in the thing. Turn your cup upside down, the cup you have in your hand, turn it upside down, please. Douglas, can you hear me? Can you?
Yes, yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Keshe.
Turn your cup upside down, the one you just showed us.
I can turn the other one that I've got made upside down.
Okay. The top end, because all the energy goes and accumulates at the bottom, the top end is your head. If you put a line, I've shown this in some of the private teachings in the knowledge seekers in the first or second term, when we were in Loom. If you divide this into 3 pieces, divide it, now don't shake it, doesn't matter. If you go from the top where it is now to the where you drink from, the top end, the 1/3 top, is the position of your brain and your head. The middle part is no, turn it upside down, turn it upside down, yeah. Divide this in just about equal from the top to bottom. You take the top end. Let me go on my screen. You come off, I show you in my teaching. I'll go back on can you stop sharing, please, Douglas?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then I'll show you in teachings. Then you know when you make these cups, how you can overcome a lot of problems. Can you see my thing? Say it, okay. This is your cup. What you do, you divide your cup in 3 levels. And this is where you drink from, huh? This is the open end, this side. This side here, this is your head. This side is your lung and heart. And this side is your stomach and legs. Here, in certain parts, is your arms. And here in the end is your legs. So your head is up here. You can create patches. You know the way you use patches and you put on your body, the GANS patches? You can make a small GANS patches and then dictate which part of the head, brain you want. And then you decide where you want to affect, if it's the liver or a kidney, or is it just above the liver you want to do it, or you want to do the wrong left or right lung? Do you want to operate within what do you call it, within the heart? Here in these sides, just above, is important for liver and kidney, even though the liver and kidney just sit on this arm. Because then what you have to do, you put your livers and kidneys and everything else, if it is the womb or prostate problem, here. And then you turn the cup upside down. In a way, if I can do it, I don't know if I can turn my picture. When it turns upside down, when you drink from it, most of the energy is this part. You don't need that much energy here. And then as you drink the cup, you put your straws where your illness is. If you have a problem with your lungs, you always drink from here. You start. And the water, as it comes down, it changes the information. If you, it doesn't matter how I can turn my page, I don't know. I don't see it.
I think I think you can, Mr. Keshe, with the tools there. You'd have to select your whole image, and then there's a rotate function there, it looks like.
It says rotate there on the top left.
Mm-hmm. Under
There's
image.
right next to the select. There's a
Ah,
reason.
yeah. Rotate 180 degrees. Okay, but I'm rotated too far out now. Okay, so now we are right. So what you do, you put your cup, your straw here. You want to do with your heart. Depends if it's your right lung or left lung. If it is you're dealing with the right or left hemisphere of the body. And then you treat your cup like your own body, and you can drink from where you have the pain, but you keep on drinking and going down because the nerve information goes to the brain. A lot of times when you have emotional problem, I ask the people to drink from the bottom directly. And then you close the top and you breathe from the same. And depends where your problem is, you breathe from that. So the cup, Yeshua has always said, when you, I showed you, I opened a cup in one of the private teachings in the foundation. And I always said that if you can control the head, which is this part, you don't really need the body. You can carry a man in a space just using his brain, because wherever you go, then through the structure of emotion and the physicality, you can create the body according to the environment you arrive in. And I heard a very funny thing that somebody told the people in the Red Circle he wants to behead people like they do in Syria. He's a terrorist. This shows how terrorist these people. This brought this memory back that these guys were not, when they did this, Mr. Red Circle has got 3 of these cups. That's why he can write so much. He was paralyzed in the left hand. Just using these cups, I fed my own enemy with my own technology. And every time he drank it, every time he pressed a button, he said, "Thank you, Kesh, for giving me life back." And now this is how it works.
Mr. Kesh, you showed it initially with magnets. Is there any
Yes.
other way other than patches?
Yes, you can do it with magnets, but if you do magnets, magnets are usually used circular magnets. You have, the way I always done, nobody sees, I embed the GANs inside it. When you glue it, you put a patch on, and then you use hot glue, which is I use, and then it's the same thing. But the patches are not, this way you can control the direction. Why I use magnets is because I can control direction, because you got to understand a magnet has both north and south. If I have a body, a cup, and I want to increase the energy, let's say you have a cancer. You have a cancer in your right lung, okay? Cancer means extra energy. What do I need to do? I need to take the energy, not give energy to increase it. So what do you do? Taking energy means you have to face 2 south poles, because the energy comes out, it goes into the south pole. So you put your magnets, you put your GANs in the center, and you place it here. But I need to take energy from it. So here is my south pole, this is my north face. And then you do the same here. You put a south pole and into north pole. So if you can correctly diagnose it in the right place, these 2 will drain energy from this. So you see the reduction in cancer. If you suffer from, I'm going to put a save on this, it's new, save, accord. Oh, I said don't save, it's gone, doesn't matter. If I can go backward, no I can't. So let's say if you have fibromyalgia, you need energy. What is the energy? Energy means, first of all, you have to feed your psychological, and then mainly you have pains everywhere. So adding 2 images to feed it. This is the brain in 2 halves of it, and then you put your north on this side, because north is where the energy goes out, and south when it is there. And you put the GANs of zinc and CO2 only, and then you want to do the same thing with here. And then you want to, for example, is the arm which is paralyzed. So you want to feed the arm, you don't want to go anywhere else. You feed this here, and then you put a unit here on the same way. You can specifically target each area of the body. That's why you see when I make cups that in different sizes and shapes, I decide with the strength of the magnet, with the scans I put in, if I want to target. If I want to target very direct, I use a very small magnet. When I want to cover a big area, I use a big magnet. And when I want to literally hammer something, I use a solid disc magnets. If there is a genetic defect, you use a rectangular magnet. Very, very rarely used. You have to know what you're using it for, because now you transfer copy to copy. This is a very specific, takes a long time to understand it. Then you can direct, you transfer energy up here, and you build it to come to the brain. So you follow, you use rectangular magnets on the side, and then it takes shape. You go from one side of the brain to the side you want to go, so you make direction in your, what do you call it, in your cup. And you follow it if it's an emotional, because it's got the with the GANs inside it. This is a technique I've used for years, and that's why we see, and now you can do it. You know how, what the GANs is and how I use it. But magnets directionalize it. You focus it, like bulleted. Very big magnets you use with a big hole. If you use a very big solid magnets, you want to cover a whole stomach, you can't put so many. You use 2 very big magnets, and you put your GANs underneath, and you pressurize it. Those of who are in Germany who write to keep on writing to the other guys in Belgium to do this and to do that, he's doing that. Send this to them and say the cups you cut in what do you call it, in SCK Nuclear Center, finding nuclear material, this, now the knowledge is open. I hope when you get a cancer, you remember where you can come. This will help you. So you understand this. This is why they try to kill us, in finding how to reverse cancer so easily. And they paid a lot of millions to the people who planned our killing in the towers of the Antwerp. And they still, we gave them a hand, and they used the hand to write all this rubbish on the internet. They are spies, they paid, they even sell their own children. Okay, you brought a lot of memories back, but now you understand what these cups are. This is the cup you have, understand what you're doing. Now when you put your copper like this around it with the bottom open, this is what you have created. It's here. I'm gonna put a pen on it. Here at the bottom, you don't have the, I made a mistake here, sorry. Let me show you what it is. Here at the bottom, you haven't got the copper coating. Your copper you showed us is here. And then at the bottom here, you have created GANs here. Hey boy. Your GAN sits here. I need a thicker one. And that goes here. Your GAN sits here. So when you push it down, it's not so much that the GANs goes up. You already have introduced the energy of the GANs from the bottom. By the GANs going up on the sides, you bring it more balanced fields. But in fact, here is more powerful at the bottom. When you mix other things in it, if you can sectionalize it, you can feed the arm, the leg, and whatever you need. Or use patches on it, and you can do the same. Any other thing? Any other?
Jen, I just like